I've just had my first Gritstone session of the season, so I thought I'd share some tips and tricks for how to get started on grit and what to expect. We're at Burbage South Valley and we're beginning with mantles. So if you're a beginner, do not be afraid to beach whale. So the beach whale technique is really useful. It gets you out of lots of tricky situations. Let's have a quick replay. As you can see, when you're mantling, it's a bit scary to put your feet or heels over, so instead just belly flop. Your belly is a really quite large surface, so it should keep you on nice and easy. So when you first get out on Gritstone, it's really useful to start to learn to get confidence in your feet. So step one, to have confidence in your feet, your shoes need to be clean. You don't want to be putting any extra bits of grit onto the rock, and you don't want any wet feet. So make sure your shoes are really nice and clean first, and then you can jump on. So it's a good idea to repeat a block lots of times. So here we're going to do different variations on this block, and I'm starting off quite steady. So you're going steady and you're learning which bits of the shoe feel best on which holds, and then you go around again. Every time you go round, just choose a little different bit of the rock, do your own little variation, don't worry about what the guidebook says, and start to develop that bit more trust in your feet. So this works really well on slabby sections like this bit. If you've got handholds, try to soften the grip a bit on the handholds so that you have to work more with the feet. If you see here, often small foot movements work better than big foot movements. So you can often do lots of little small ones to get yourself up rather than trying to do any big high steps. Here I'm practicing not really using the hands at all, and you'll find that actually you can put quite a lot of force through some footholds. So let's move on. Often you want to use the chalky bits, but actually find the bits that work. So if you notice where all the chalk is here, what I've just discovered is that there's a little undercut, and we're going to get to that in a second. So when you find a position, you move, you get the little undercut that wasn't chalked but you noticed yourself, and then you can do the problem. So this isn't the most smooth attempt, but it was good fun. So Gritstone's a bit of a balance between climbing smoothly and actually just getting to the top. When you are at the top, especially if you're a beginner, do be aware of how you get back down. A lot of the blocks, especially if they're freestanding, the descent routes can be quite tricky, and you do sometimes need to down climb trickier sections. If you've got your friends around, they can always move the bouldering pads. I didn't right now, so I didn't really want to jump off this end. So yeah, it's a point to be aware of, and it happens to all of us. We just don't really want to be messing up the descent. Back on the ground, Gritstone has a habit of making really awkward sort of sit starts. A lot of problems, it can be quite frustrating because you have to try lots and lots of different body positions before you can even pull off the floor. It's just something to be aware of, especially when you're starting out, that it might take quite a lot of practice to find that just right body position that lets you move from it. And then it's about learning to refine it. So when you're practicing problems, you can always put on at different parts, see what the holds feel like. That gives you a bit of confidence that you know what you're going for. So I was quite chuffed with this little dyno. In terms of confidence on the rock, it's useful to notice how confident you feel just going between the blocks. So when you're moving on the terrain, just notice if it's quite steady for you, or if actually perhaps you should just practice a bit more rock hopping, as it were. So for confidence, try and predict which way you'll be falling off problems. Here I saw that I was going to be laying back off one of those holds, so I've just moved the pads up over the rock a bit further, so that I feel more confident in my line of fall. That just take a bit of practice, but it's something to be aware of and sort of work with. So this is where I say that if you're climbing sixes in the gym, if you're flashing sixes in the gym, Gritstone is probably a bit of a different story. There's a lot of fine tuning of your movement, getting the holds just right that needs to go into it, and also there's a fine balance between climbing something smoothly and nice, or actually just having to try quite hard to get up them. So don't underestimate the 6s on the Gritstone. It can take all of us quite a lot of goes sometimes. Personally, it's always useful to practice the top outs first. So here's the top of the problem, just to build a bit of confidence there. Then you want to rest a nice long time before your send go. So if you notice the foot position on the floor, often that foot that's on the pad needs to be in the right position before you can pull on. And then when you do pull on, you have to keep all your tension, else you might just fall back off. So the send go, watch the underneath leg. So a lot of Gritstone, you use the underneath leg, just doing little adjustments to get your body in the right position. And that helps you to generate your upwards momentum. So that's just a little tip I picked up. So thanks for watching this video, and don't forget to enjoy the view.